It is my privilege to introduce Marc LeBaron. I've known him for many, many years, and I'm going to go a little bit off script just for a moment to tell you why I really respect this gentleman. First and foremost, he's running a local company. This company could be located anywhere. They also have I lost my train of thought here, some locations in Minnesota and Wisconsin, but they chose to stay in Nebraska, support Nebraska, and their headquarters are here in Lincoln. They have 1,000 employees. They run 24 hours a day. And the company started very humbly with his father, and Marc has made it into one of the most diverse, privately held metal finishing companies in North America. And it's the largest privately held company in North America, located right here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And Marc's a very interesting person. One of the things that he did at his company way before any of us even thought about it was started a wellness program. And I love what he put in here. Marc says, I describe our wellness program as a 30-year overnight success. And it does take time to build something like this, but it has caused them to be named a great place to work 7 times, partially because of this wellness program. And Marc himself has led many of his employees on wellness trips, as they call it. I'm not sure I'd want to be invited on one of those. It's a lot of hard work, but the employees really earn the right to go on this trip, and it's a privilege to go on the trip. So Marc has really made that a legacy, in my opinion, of his leadership. Another thing that's interesting about Marc is he is a pilot, and he's a serious pilot. He flies all over and is very dedicated to keeping his skills up. And another thing that's very interesting is he's really into art, as is his wife. And they have quite an art collection and a gift to the city of Lincoln with a partnership with the Duncans. They have an art gallery called Assemblage. And if you've never been there, it's really interesting, and they rotate different art exhibits on a periodic basis. So Marc was born in Lincoln, and he remembers growing up in a little apartment above his dad's office, and he also helped with some of the work when that business was so small. He's a graduate of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. He's been married to his wife, Kathy, for 48 years. And another exciting thing is he has 2 daughters who are in the business with him, and this is the 3rd generation under the leadership of their family. He's received many awards throughout his time, one from the Sheldon Art Gallery, NU Foundation's Distinguished Volunteer Service Award, and a member of the Nebraska Cultural Endowment Board of Directors, and an inductee into the Nebraska Business Hall of Fame. So Marc has made his mark on Lincoln and on Nebraska, and I would ask you to help me welcome him to the podium.
Well, I'll raise it up just a little. Thank you, Angie. You know, if I was smart, I'd just sit down right now, because after that introduction, anything I say, your opinion's just going to go down. But nobody ever said I was a smart guy. So it is a pleasure to be able to come and address this group. As I look around the room, I don't know everybody here, but I know quite a few of the faces and people here, and it's always fun to get a chance to catch up. I'm going to touch on a few things. We celebrated our 70th year of business last year, and so I'm going to go into a little bit of a history. Some of you know this. I look over at Art Knox. Art was around, I think, when my father started the business, but most of you wouldn't know how we started, and I think it might be of interest. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are today and who we are. And I'm going to close with a few comments, and Angie brought it up, on our wellness program. It's something that, as I travel, and people know us for, and we've really had a lot of fun. So I thought that would be a great place to close. So back to the history of the company. We started in 1952. And here's the interesting part of the story. My uncle and my father were both in World War II. Dad was in the Coast Guard. My uncle was in the Navy after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. He was a mechanic in the shipyard repair area, and they repaired the shafts on destroyers and the big military boats by doing a plating process to rebuild and recover those shafts. When the war ended, they both came back to Lincoln. My dad didn't have a job when he went away to the war. My uncle did. They had kept his job. But my uncle came back fascinated with this electroplating process and said, Dale, we've got to get involved in this. We've got to figure this out. So the two of them went together and bought a one-person plating shop that was, of all places, located in the basement of the Lincoln Power and Light building on about 22nd and O Street. And so that was the genesis, the beginning of the company. In the 60s, at that time, they only did work for consumers. You would bring a teapot in and have it resilvered, or a hood ornament off your car. So there was no production or commercial work. It was all individual work. That was the business model up through the 60s. In the 60s, they started doing a little bit of commercial work. If you drew a 50-mile circle around Lincoln, Omaha, Fremont, Columbus, that's where the work came from. We moved into a facility on 5th and Garfield down by Gooch's Mill. Some of you would remember that or may have been down there. We lived in a small apartment on the top floor. How they got permission back then to put an apartment above an industrial building, I'm not sure. But I'm not going to go question that today, but we still have that property. But that is where we started. Over the years, we've focused on continuing to try to grow through expanding products and services. In the late 60s, we started doing that commercial business. In the 70s, the Clean Water Act was passed, which totally changed the industry. We were pretty much an unregulated industry prior to that. After the Clean Water Act, we became one of the most highly regulated businesses in the manufacturing sector. We ended up moving out to our current site, which is out on 600 West East Street, just off of Rosa Parkway. And the first initial building there was about 45 to 50,000 square foot. Today we have about 750 or 800,000 square foot on that site, along with, as Angie said, facilities in Wisconsin and Minnesota. The business really went through 5 different phases, and I'll talk just very, very briefly about that. As I said, the first one was one-on-one local work, and it was, and the name of the company back then was Lincoln Plating Company, and that's all we did was electroplating. In the 60s, we moved into some regional work. In the 70s, we had to move out to this new location. We had to borrow a bunch of money and start that whole process. So now we had to figure out how to become a little bit bigger business. I bought the business from my parents in the mid-'80s, and again, borrowed money. And so like we all do, and we're entrepreneurs, you got to figure out how do you grow this thing to pay off your debt. And so we started looking at how we could become a national business and focus on some different coatings and electroplating processes that would allow us to bring work in. In the 90s, we started moving into manufacturing. Today, and I'll show you a quick video here in a minute, about 65 to 70% of our revenue comes from manufacturing, but virtually everything we do has a coating or a finishing process affiliated with it. And now today, the phase that the latest thing we're working on is moving away from contract manufacturing or job shop work to become more of a tier 1 with our own products and our own brands. And so today we have 2 brands, aftermarket truck business and aftermarket motorcycle business, and that is where we're focused now. We're looking at starting up another brand within the next year and trying to continue to grow out where we have a little more control over our destiny with our own products and our own product lines. So with that, if we could key up that first video, and I could talk through all this, but I think sometimes if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is probably worth 1,000,000 words. So We'll show a quick video and it'll give you an idea of who we are today. So if we can go back then to the slideshow, let's see, is it up to me? This is dangerous. Oh, oops, okay. So today you can see just a little bit of an overview on what we do. We're headquartered, as Angie said, here in Lincoln. We have about 80% of our people, maybe just a whisker more here in Lincoln, between 1,000 and 1,100 team members currently. We do 25 different types of finishing, or 60 different types of finishing on 25 highly automated lines. And you saw a little bit of glimpse of some of the automation. 1 million square foot of production space across our enterprise. We do somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 million parts a year of all different kinds, from motorcycles, truck, and a whole bunch of other industries. And we've got lots of certifications, which really wouldn't mean much, but in terms of environmental, in terms of manufacturing and quality systems, we have all of the top level certifications that allow us to compete and work on products just about anywhere in the world. Markets that we serve today primarily, heavy duty truck. If you see a Peterbilt, a Kenworth, a Freightliner going down the road, exhaust systems we produce here in Lincoln, bumpers, grills. Some of those images you saw were engine components, where we do coatings on the inside of engine components for heavy duty truck manufacturers, motorsports, motorcycles, side-by-sides, four-wheelers, that's a big division. We do work for all of the major agricultural companies, John Deere, Case, Kloss, and et cetera. Some automotive, not a lot. Power sports, that would be the four-wheelers and things like that. And then the others, appliances, oil and gas, and some hand power tools. This is a list of the customers on our contract manufacturing that we service, and you can see a lot of names there. We tend to focus on premier brands in an industry. So Harley Davidson in the motorcycle business, Peterbilt in the heavy duty truck business. And so those are the ones that we really think are critical. Our core capabilities today, we talk about metal finishing of some kind, coatings. Out at Air Park, we have about 185,000 square foot facility that's highly automated, producing all kinds of products made out of 4-inch to 10-inch diameter tubing. So exhaust systems, if you see one of the cattle haulers driving down the highway with those giant exhaust systems, those are all made here in Lincoln out at Air Park. We bring them out to our main facility where we do the coating and finishing on them. We do a lot of different specialty coatings for insulation purposes. We do fabrication at a Source One facility that we have on our main campus, where we can make just about any kind of machined or fabricated component. We manage supply chains for our customers. So we about 40% of our total cost is buying products from the outside that we bring in to do finishing on, to assemble into other products and that we sell to our customers. And then we do other things like assembly. You saw some engineering services. We currently have, I think, around 60 or 70 degreed engineers, and they will be doing everything from designing products for customers, working on automation in our facilities, just a whole variety of things. So that's where we are today, and where we're going is the branded products. So our brands currently are Lincoln Chrome, aftermarket truck business, and Chrome Works, which is aftermarket motorcycle business. We sell through about 600 retail operations on the motorcycle business, more limited to truck distribution on the truck side, but that will continue to grow, and that's where most of our growth focus is today. So I think with that, I'm gonna now move into just a couple of comments about our culture, because if most of you have heard of Lincoln, you've probably heard of wellness programs, and maybe a little about our customer. Angie was kind to mention that we have been on the Great Place to Work list a number of times. But it's all about creating a culture that allows us to do things that I think other companies can't do. So we start off with all of our meetings with a discussion around, and I see Lucius over here runs our environmental systems. You heard that earlier, and he can attest. They probably get tired of hearing me talk about our values, but we start every meeting with that. And we think that our values separate us from companies. Everybody has a set of values they put up on the wall. We believe in this, or we do that. But how many really stick to that and really measure that? So in our organization, every year, we survey all of our people and ask them to give us feedback about the company and about their leaders. Are they following these values? Are they living the beliefs and the drivers in their daily activities? And in our organization, if someone scores poorly on that, and it's all anonymous, but if you can't walk the walk when it comes to our values, you can't be in a leadership position. And so we've taken what a lot of people would say is very subjective and tried to make it very objective. And we do the same thing with our customers. We ask our customers once a year, we survey our external customers and say, give us feedback. Are we living these values? Do you see that in your interactions with our people? And we use that feedback to just constantly cycle through and try to get better. So how do we do that? We call it a talent-based organization. We believe in fit, talent, skill, and I'll talk just a little bit more about that in a minute. But attracting top talent, I mean, and I think anybody in business here would say these are important criteria. But again, we try to focus on this almost on a daily basis. Attracting talent, onboarding, getting people integrated, talking about leadership, the importance of leadership. You may have noticed that's one of our values. And so we invest in leadership development. Succession planning is robust at Lincoln Industries, which I didn't mention. In the 90s, we changed our name from Lincoln Plating to Lincoln Industries because so much of our revenue was coming from non-finishing businesses. And it made it very hard to compete in the marketplace when people were looking at us just as a plating company. And then, of course, retaining top talent. So here's kind of, this is the simple key to our success. When we are recruiting or hiring people or looking at putting people into a new position, we look at fit, talent, and skill. And fit is, does our culture resonate with that individual? And if you think about it, most people would look at this in a reverse order. Most companies would hire just the opposite. So fit is, does our culture resonate? Talent, what are we hardwired to do? Do we like people? Do we not like people? Do we like working independently in groups? And then skill is background, education, training, all the things that you've done throughout your life. Most people will look at an application and start with a skill. What's your school? What's your education? What's this? And in many organizations, the decision is made right there whether to hire. They never look at what are they hardwired to do and are they really a cultural fit for the organization. So this has become our mantra, and we've developed this over many, many years. We didn't invent it. Collins, I think he said, get the right people on the bus and then get them in the right seat. So get the right cultural people on the bus, get them in the right seat based on their talent. And then in our case, we say, whatever the skills they need, we'll provide those skills. We'll teach them, and we can make that work. So with that, I want to close out at least this portion, just a little talk about wellness. As Angie said, we were one of the first companies in the US to actually start a wellness program. And I would just tell you, the original start was at beginning, the week before Thanksgiving, I would ask people to get on a scale, and then we'd weigh them before Thanksgiving and we'd weigh them after Christmas. Well, that didn't go over so big. So I said, okay, we're going to split into teams, and we're going to put 20 people on the big freight scale. So no, it's all anonymous. And then those same 20 people are going to go on. That was my original idea of wellness. Well, we have come a long ways since then. Although we still do some things like that for fun. But probably the biggest thing is we have integrated wellness into virtually everything we do. So we had all company meetings a couple of weeks ago. In the middle of the meeting, we stop, we have a stretch break, and we do some wellness activity. All of our production lines and even our offices, our engineering departments will do a stretching program every morning just to help people prevent injuries and become looser. So wellness is not a bolt-on program for us. It is something we drive and try to incorporate in virtually everything we do. And I'll close on, Angie mentioned that we do a 14,000 foot climb every year. And about 10 years ago, we were on CNN and they did an interview. They came out and they interviewed our people and they said, okay, now how does this work? And so people work all year long to be healthy. And if they qualify at the end of the year, then we'll pay for them to go to Colorado and climb a 14,000 foot mountain. Pay for the weekend, we'll pay everything. And so we were on this CNN, and I think it was Sanjay Gupta was the guy interviewing, and his co-anchor goes, now wait a minute, they work all year long and their reward is they have to go climb a mountain? And she goes, I don't get it, but that's what they do. So I'm gonna close with just a short video. This is an abbreviated one of our climb that we did this year, this last summer. We had about of our 1,000 people or 1,100, about 70% of the people 70% will qualify to climb the mountain. Not everybody can do it. Some have climbed 10 mountains, some, they've got families and all kinds of things. But we ended up with 165 people that went out on the climb this year. It continues to grow every year, and it's a great reward, and it's a very emotional thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and if we could play that last video, that would be great. You know, we started the climb many years ago just as a senior leadership group. Started expanding the group and eventually got to the point where we opened it up to the whole company as part of our wellness program.
We do the climb every year as really a way to provide motivation for people on their wellness journey.
Anyone and everyone that has gone on the climb has encouraged me to participate. They said it's once in a lifetime experience, the camaraderie, the teamwork, the scenery, just the physical aspect of it. So I just didn't want to let this opportunity pass me by.
I'm excited. The excitement of it, the views, a sense of, I don't know, pride, accomplishment.
Basically just stepping out of your comfort zone. I did that for this experience, and I feel like I can do it for other things in life too.
And the climb really provides us a mechanism to help people in all those wellness domains become the best version of themselves.
Before the climb, I was a smoker, I was overweight, just really no healthiness to me.
So this has just been a great excuse to get back on track as far as achieving my health goals.
This year, my New Year's resolution was to work out twice a week, and if I can do that, then I would go on the climb. So I've been able to do that, and now I'm doing the climb.
I think just trying to stay healthy since I was recently diagnosed with a rare form of diabetes. So it's trying to keep me motivated, keep me on the healthy page.
A journey over the last 5 years. I had a heart attack 5 years ago. My family and everything else, they were like, you got to make sure you're staying on top of this. And over 5 years, it's really, been a motivation.
I've been really trying to get into the health thing. I want more life. I'm scared of heights, so you know what I mean? I was just trying to master some fears.
I'm just so proud of them and congratulate all of them for committing to this climb and really pushing forward on their wellness journey.
So, thank you. So with that, I would stop. We maybe got a couple minutes for any questions that someone may have. Got some over here.
Just wondered, since your tenure, what is your greatest challenge or challenge period that you've experienced running the company?
Well, the question was, what's the greatest challenge? It seems like there's always some new challenge. I think probably in my history, the pandemic was the biggest issue. I'll be honest with you. All of our major customers closed their facilities. We lost 85% of our revenue just like that. And at the time, none of us knew, is this a week long, a 2 week long? Everybody was saying at the time, this will be a couple of weeks after, and we said we're going to continue to pay all our people, we'll pay the benefits, we'll do all that. After about 6 weeks of our customers being closed, we said we've really got to start taking some action here. And so we got really creative. We still continued. I think virtually all of our people were kept 100% in terms of their compensation, but we really lost 2 months of our customers being closed. And then they came back and said, well, when we restart, instead of producing here, we're going to produce at 70%. And so then there was another month of just ratcheting inventories down. So it was really a difficult time, just the uncertainty about it. Now they came back and most of them said, oh no, now we're going to go up 110%. We're going to make up for that. And then they found out that supply chains were broken, and these are very complex. Think about all the components in a Peterbilt truck. It's very difficult. But I would say that was the most difficult.
Thanks for being here today, Mark, and sharing the successes of the LeBaron family and Lincoln Industries. I was just curious, as a pilot myself, I'm sure you don't fly the MU-2 anymore, right?
No, I sold that.
What are you flying?
I'm flying a Citation 5 jet now. So
very good. Are you in the left seat?
Always.
Always. Thank you.
Yeah. No, those that have had an opportunity to travel in private aviation, it's an absolutely wonderful thing, and I still get a huge deal of enjoyment of being able to sit up front and say, hey, I can go from here to pick a spot anywhere in the US, and whatever the weather is, it's an all-weather airplane, we can get there and land in it. So anyway, it's a real sense of pride. Yes?
What about turnover in your workforce? How has that been, not accounting for the pandemic? And do you attribute some of that to your wellness program?
Sure. So historically, turnover, as we would look at it, and that is unplanned turnover, people that just leave. We run about half or 30% of the industry average. Ours is extremely good. And I'd give all the credit to the culture and we encourage people to build relationships at work. If I went back to that beliefs in drivers, relationships would be one of the things, and that's why you continue to go to work. It's because of the people. You have a purpose, you have a mission in terms of what you're doing and the products you're making, but a big part of that is the relationships you have. And so ours is down. Like everybody, since the pandemic, it's been difficult. We've maintained better than virtually all the manufacturers, but it's slowly getting better. We're kind of getting back to normal, but it's taken a long time. Yep.
Mark, I'm aware of you and your wife's interest in the arts. And the community, if you're not aware, you should see this man's collection. What was the last major art purchase that you and your wife have made, and why did you do it?
The last one I purchased was on my drive here, and it was her Christmas present. So don't tell her whatever you do. We got back midweek last week from the largest contemporary art show in the world. It's in Miami. And we were able to buy a couple of pieces there and things that we really enjoyed. We have a rule that Kath and we do not buy a piece of art unless we both like it. I've done that twice in my collecting, and it hasn't worked out very well. So, but yeah, it's, I always tell people, contemporary art collecting, I'd call it a genetic defect. If you have it, you're just going to collect, and you don't know why, but you just do it. So,
hey Mark, question here.
Yeah.
You used to do retail chrome plating locally, for like car parts and stuff. I know you guys stopped that a long time ago. Is there ever a thought about bringing that back?
Unfortunately, the short answer would be no. No. We have had a department off and on where we would take it in and send it out to smaller companies. If you look at that video, we're so highly automated that we will run 20 or 30,000 parts on a line, and if we have to shut it down for 2 or 3 hours to run a part, it's so expensive it just doesn't work. But
thank you.